Hello, my bookish friends, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Heather. If you've never been here before, hi, and if you're returning, welcome back. Let's talk about the books I want to read in June. This is a relatively ambitious list. Let's talk about my book club picks first. So I want to read One Perfect Couple by Ruth Ware. This is my friend Liv's Patreon book club pick. I will leave all of the channels that I mentioned linked down below so that you can go check them out because they're all amazing. And this book is by Ruth Ware, who is a thriller author I have typically loved in the past. There's been a couple duds, but overall I've really liked her books. And we are following Lila and Nico as they are cast in a reality dating / survivor show. It's basically a mix-up of Love Island meets Survivor. So they are put on this island, they have to survive the elements, but their relationship also has to survive. So I'm really excited to read this one. I feel like it fits the summer vibe perfectly, and I have a history of listening to Ruth Ware's audiobooks while I'm floating in the pool, and so hopefully this one is no exception. Another book club pick that I don't have yet, but I did order it from Aardvark Book Club. This is my first order from Aardvark, so I'm excited to get that box, but is Dreadful, and I can't remember the author's name. It'll be on the book right here. But this is my friend Kendall's book club pick, and I don't know anything about this one except it's supposed to be cozy, kind of like a I'm the villain, but I didn't know I was the villain, and there's a garlic festival. It sounds like it's gonna be a cozy and a creepy good time. Last book club pick is actually a doubling for two book clubs, my in-person book club as well as my Patreon book club. This is our first book club pick ever, and I'm really excited to get to it. And my first ever Patreon book club is going to be The Last Murder at the End of the World by Stuart Turton. I did get the Amazon copy after I went to Barnes & Noble and they were out, but that's okay. These pages are still beautiful. This kind of sounds like M. Night Shyamalan's The Village, but make it sci-fi. I haven't heard that comp anywhere. I'm sure it's out there, but that's just what the description sounds like to me. This book is about an island where villagers and scientists are living after the world has been kind of taken over by this fog. And on the island, things are fine until a security mishap happens and there is a murder and like everybody's memory resets. So nobody even has a recollection of there being a murder. And there's also like a deadline that they have to solve it by before everybody dies. I've heard that this is a very thinky book. My friend Elizabeth reviewed it over on Instagram and it made me excited to read it, but also kind of like I need to take a deep breath and caffeinate before I read this because I feel like my brain is going to be working really hard. It was the same way when I read his book, The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. You really have to have your brain turned on to read his books, but I think the payoff is worth it. I haven't read The Devil in the Dark Water, but I'm really excited about this one. An option for my Patreon book club pick that did not get chosen, but I'm still gonna read anyway, is How to Become the Dark Lord and Die Trying by Django Wexler. This book sounds so quirky, kind of in the vein of like Assistant to the Villain, but maybe not. I've never read anything by Django Wexler. There's a really fun, quirky map in here, and I think that's what reminded me the most of Assistant to the Villain. The map just looks really similar to me. But in this book, I'm just gonna read the back because it's going to do a better job than I could. A laugh out loud fantasy tale about a young woman who, tired of defending humanity from the Dark Lord, decides maybe the Dark Lord is onto something after all. I just think this is going to be like a funny book. I do want to say though, I was flipping through it and I saw content warnings, so I just want to make you aware. It's very evident at the beginning. It does say, thanks to her unique fantastical circumstances, Davi speaks casually of self-harm and suicide. In real life, however, there are no time loops and no healing spells. If you struggle with thoughts of this nature, and then it gives some references, and it also contains frank discussion of sexual assault, but no characters are assaulted. So if you're curious in picking this one up, I just wanted you to know up front that there are some content and trigger warnings in this book, but this is another one I'm really excited about. It's from Orbit. Every time I talk about an Orbit book, I have to just compliment them on how floppy their paperbacks are. Thank you, Orbit. I also have an ARC that I'm going to be reading. Technically, I have the ARC, however, the book is already out. We received the ARCs about a week before the book's release, and that is Love Letters and Thirst Tonics by Haley Blackwood. First of all, let's talk about how adorable this cover is and also that cat. This is supposed to be a cozy small town vampire romance. I don't know anything else about it except that. I am participating in the amazing readathon, so I'm trying to keep some shorter Kindle books on my radar so that I can flip through them or apply them to prompts as needed. This is my first time doing this readathon, and so I'm a little bit stressed out about it, but it's all gonna be okay. It's all for a good time. And like I said, I don't know anything else about this book except that it sounds like it's gonna be a cozy little vampire romance. This next one is one I received in Book of the Month last month, and that is 5 Broken Blades by Mai Corland. And it says, it's the season for treason. The king of Yusan must die. The 5 most dangerous liars in the land have been mysteriously summoned to work together for a single objective: to kill the god king of June. This next book has been on my TBR a couple of times, but I'm really determined to get to it this summer, and that is The Friend Zone by Abby Jimenez. Y'all know Abby Jimenez just writes books for me. I can't say that we had a sit down interview where she was like, what would you like to read about? And I told her, but in a hypothetical world that could have happened because her books just always impact me so much. And I've read her newer series that includes Part of Your World, Yours Truly, and Just for the Summer, but I have not read this first series by her that starts with The Friend Zone. I know that there are some tropes in here that I don't normally enjoy. However, I trust Abby Jimenez with my life. I love a good romance in the summer, and so this is going to be the one that I read this month. This next book is going to be one that I start in the month of June but finish in July. My Patreon is doing a series read-along of the Daevabad trilogy, and we are reading one book every other month. I have provided my patrons with 8, 6, and 4-week chapter checklists just in case reading these epic fantasies is overwhelming or somebody's first time reading epic fantasy. So I'm going to be following the 6-week chapter checklist guide so that I'm taking it slow, reading it at a good pace, and understanding everything that I'm reading. So in the middle of June, I am going to start reading City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty. The City of Brass in the Daevabad trilogy is an Egypt-inspired fantasy, and I know that there are some subplots of romance, but overall it just falls into the epic fantasy category. I'll read a little bit from the back just because I don't know that I am adequately prepared to talk to you about this book. It says, on the streets of 18th century Cairo, Nari is a con woman of unsurpassed skill. She makes her life swindling Ottoman nobles, hoping to one day earn enough to change her fortunes. But when Nari accidentally summons Dara, an equally sly, darkly mysterious jinn warrior, during one of her cons, she learns that even the cleverest of schemes have deadly consequences. This next one is one that I have been in the middle of for like a month. Heat of the Everflame by Penn Cole. I cannot tell you why this one is taking me so long to read because I'm having a really good time, and my coworker just finished it and she has been texting spoilers that I haven't been able to click on, and I'm so ready to get to the end so I know what she's talking about, but for some reason it is taking me forever to read. It's 700 plus pages, and on the Kindle for some reason it's like 900 something pages. I am reading it primarily on Kindle because this self-published book is not a book, it is a brick. It is so heavy. But I'm really liking this. I can't talk much about the third or the second book, but I can tell you the setup of the series is that we have Diem, who is a mortal living in a world where mortals and these descended people from the gods coexist, but it's not a very pleasant coexistence. The mortals and the descended definitely are not friends, and they are having to put up with each other. The descended definitely kind of rule over the world, and the mortals are just there to provide labor and other services. And there's uprisings, there's political court type drama, there's definitely romance, and there's really fun magic. I love all the side characters. I love the family relationships in these books. Penn Cole definitely keeps the stakes high, and I have had a really good time with this series, and June is going to be the month where I finish it. Last but not least, if you remember from last month, I read a book called The Husbands that was part of this Sisterhood of the Traveling Books experiment that I'm doing with some friends. So I annotated that one, and I have since sent that book off to its next reader. And yesterday I got my next book in the mail, which is Little Eve by Catriona Ward. I don't know anything about it. It's a short little book. I have not read anything else by Catriona Ward. I'm expecting a little bit of horror, a little bit of gothic vibes, but I really want to keep it there. This is one I'd like to go into blind so that my annotation experience is fully realized, and I'm very excited to get to this one, and this will probably be a great one for the amazing readathon since it's so short. I'm trying to keep a good balance of length in my books because I just don't know what to expect. Things are gonna get a little bit chaotic over there for sure. As always, my friends, my Patreon and my social media is linked down below. If you're interested in chatting more about books, I would love to have you join me on any of those platforms. And I will see you guys in another video very soon. Bye guys.